It's Wednesday, January 7th, 2026. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. Thank you for joining me on Snow Bros. We are watching this different areas, kind of unusual areas that are about to get some snow and a winter severe weather threat. We'll cover that in this video, plus some big snow to the north. But it is this big moisture feed. This kind of was up here before, up by California. We were tracking that in previous videos. But this moisture feed back toward the Baja, lifting through Mexico, will bring snow to different locations. We'll zoom down here. And this will change the weather points to the east as we go forward. So let's start wide. Then I want to zoom down and cover that severe weather threat and those snow totals. And this is that moisture feed. Watching this, seeing some of that snow, higher terrain, seeing the snow over by the four corners, watching out for additional snow. That's there. And then this is on the move back toward the Great Lakes. A piece of the energy lifting to the north, but it is the tail end of this. Look what happens as we get deeper into tomorrow. I'll highlight this. We'll watch out for a severe weather threat starting tomorrow in some spots. More so though by Friday, even an isolated risk of a tornado. Big rain totals. I'll show you that. Top side, we're going to deal with that snow as we work our way into Saturday, lifting up toward the Atlantic region of Canada. And then we kind of get that secondary area. Look what happens. It's back-to-back systems. Another line of storms will be possible on Saturday. Snow sweeping back toward the Great Lakes, parts of Quebec, Ontario, watching that. And then this will pivot its way toward the Maritimes and New England as we work our way into Sunday, lifting closer to Newfoundland by the time we get into late Sunday. That front at that point clearing the east coast of the U.S. and still monitoring what's going on off to the west. Some higher totals of rain and snow, British Columbia and the Pacific Northwest. We'll be covering that in this video. Again, if you're subscribed, you'll get those updates. Matt and I will be putting out some additional videos, so you'll get those if you're subscribed with that notification bell on. All right, looking at the travel impacts. Again, some different spots getting some icy to snowy conditions. Watching that, parts of New Mexico back toward Arizona in through here. We will see some significant major impacts as far as any of that travel is concerned right through here. And of course, swing back toward Colorado, watching the higher terrain, no doubt some of the passes dealing with some additional snow. Widespread impact. So watching this, here are some of the different spots getting a first snow in some locations, or at least a significant one for this year, or at least this season, I should say, so far. You can see as we work our way into parts of Nevada, still watching a little bit over toward Tahoe, some of the additional snow, but it's this pocket in here, New Mexico, back toward parts of Arizona, where we could see some spots getting over 6 inches of some snow. Watching some action up toward Santa Fe, we could have some spots, again, several inches of some snow, and of course, feeding through the Rocky Mountains and points to the north. Now, watching the severe weather threat, that big moisture feed coming in first. This is tomorrow. In this area, isolated thunderstorms will be possible. Again, there's been a lot of warm air, right? We've been feeling that close to record heat in some spots, and that is helping to give us almost more of a spring-like setup. And then right in through here by Friday, we swing back toward parts of Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, right through the Tennessee River Valley, even stretching up toward Kentucky. We need to monitor out for some gusty winds. Could see a few downburst winds and an isolated risk of a tornado. There could be one or two right in this sector. So dealing with multiple threats with this one as we go forward. Now here's the closer look at that. So this is by midday tomorrow. Heavier rain, Omaha, Cedar Rapids, lifting through Iowa there, lifting up toward Wisconsin. But it's the tail end of it. Even by late tomorrow and tomorrow night, we'll monitor from Arkansas back toward the east for the potential of some thunderstorms. But as we work our way into Friday, this is Friday morning, we're tracking a few of these storms around. We'll watch out for any rotation. Matt and I will be watching that for you. And then you see things blossoming throughout the day. In this, we could get some severe weather, and flooding will be a potential. Significant rain totals out of this. Little shot of that colder air back toward Wichita, back behind this. You can see some of the snow there, but it's in this area here, even stretching back toward Virginia. Watching the Beckley area of West Virginia, seeing some of that rain. And as I mentioned, it's kind of two pieces of this that I showed you on the bigger map. So even as we get into the weekend, Another chance of storms in a sloppy mess back toward the mid-Atlantic. Watching the DC-Baltimore area, cold rain at times. Some of that could be heavy, could lead to some of that flooding in some locations as we work our way into the weekend. And you see the rain totals. This takes us through today into tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. And look at these brighter colors showing up, some of that black and red shading. That's 6 to 8 inches of rain. And that's why I mentioned not only repeat systems, but just the system alone. Each one is going to have several inches of rain, but it really totals out to significant amounts. So watching out for that flood threat. So a severe weather threat and a flood threat out of that, keeping a close eye on Virginia, West Virginia, south, parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, even keeping an eye on some of the higher terrain as we build back toward extreme western sections of North Carolina, the extreme northern Georgia, and then back through Alabama and parts of Mississippi. And we'll monitor things Arkansas just as it flares up. Western sections, better, or rather eastern sections, better chance of seeing some heavier rain. Now on the top side of this, one system is departing as we go over the next 24 hours. Here comes that new one. You see this mess here, lots of additional rain. A snowmelt's been happening in many locations over the last several days with that warm weather post that lake effect snow we've been seeing. Then as we stretch forward into Friday, you can see it here. Here's that line that we were just tracking together. Top side of this, some of the rain moving in. New Brunswick, mainly a rain event, sloppy rain event in New England. And here's that second piece of it, right? That second piece on Saturday. There's some of the snow swinging in over toward parts of Michigan and Wisconsin. Right on the line over toward Montreal and north, better chance of snow, but mainly rain. Cape and the Islands back through Delmarva, looking to be a rain event out of this by Sunday. There's some of the snow clipping by, but even coastal sections, southern sections, as it should say, of Newfoundland, mainly looking at seeing some of that rain by the time we get into Sunday night. And then late on Sunday into Monday, that's when that area will be pressing off the Atlantic region of Canada. So looking at some of the additional snow that we can expect, this takes us through the weekend into early next week. I mentioned northern sections, so we work our way back toward Canada. This is where we could see some of that snow with a couple of these systems moving by. Again, two systems, extreme north side and that wraparound. That's where we could see some additional totals. You see this blue shading in here. We're running at about 3 inches or so of getting some of that rain right in through here, but these brighter colors really popping up. We're looking at about 12 inches of rain, inches and centimeters on your screen to try to keep everyone covered. Matt and I, we don't pay attention to borders. Weather goes everywhere, so we're trying to do our best to keep it covered. But this is a look at the snow here, and then we swing out through the weekend into early next week as well. Avalon Peninsula stretching all the way back toward New England. Again, a lot of this is going to be rain in through here. So north side, that's where we're going to see some of that additional snow. But some of the higher terrain, watching parts of New England, back toward parts of New York, again, we could see a couple inches of some additional snow. Here's the big picture that takes us just through Friday. I showed you earlier this area here, but I wanted to give you a feel. Again, this is just over the next about 3 days or so where that snow will be, but with multiple systems I showed you through the weekend, those higher totals we'll see in parts of the Northeast, over toward the Great Lakes, and in particular into Canada. So the active pattern is cranking up. This is what we've been talking about over the last week or so. As we work our way into mid and late January, it is going to get a whole lot more active and a better chance of big East Coast systems, including nor'easters. Just like that feed working into swinging into parts of Mexico right now, we're going to see that moisture tapping into that into the Gulf. That could lend itself to bigger East Coast storms. So in the short term, the active pattern cranking up, watching out for that severe weather threat, the flooding, and the snow on the top side. So Matt and I got you covered right here. Thank you for taking the time to subscribe. We'll be watching your comments as we go over the next few days. Have a good rest of your day.